Now, is Drake a gangster? Now, Drake is an artist who's known for being the soft guy in the hip-hop community. Drake is the type of guy who's gonna give you the right vibes, and at the same time, he will comfort you if your relationship with your significant other is unstable. So Drake is that guy, and that's what most people recognize him for. But the discussion about Drake being a gangster is actually bigger than you think. Now, Drake being labeled as this soft rapper that doesn't make hard and intense records has always really followed him throughout his career, especially after he dropped Views that had a lot of fun pop records that was so far from something like Free Smoke until he dropped his Nothing Was the Same project that had the song Worst Behavior on it, which was different from anything Drake had released before. Now, back in 2011, one of Drake's fans actually tattooed Drake's name on her forehead because the love for Drake was that big for her. Long story short, Drake saw the picture on the internet because it went viral, and when Drake was asked about this on an interview, his hard and gangster persona definitely came to the surface.
Yo, have you seen this picture?
I have.
What are your thoughts on it?
I want to meet her and understand what happened. That's cool though. Like I feel you 100%. That to me is like absolutely incredible. I don't know if you can see it, but this girl tattooed Drake on her forehead. The guy who tatted it is a fucking asshole though. I will tell you that. I don't fuck with that guy. Fuck you to that tat artist, by the way, because you're an asshole for real. And you should lose your job, and you should never do tattoos again. I don't fuck with you, and if I ever see you, I'm gonna fuck you up.
A couple of months ago, ILOVEMAKONNEN came out with some really disturbing news about Drake. Drake threatened ILOVEMAKONNEN and told him he would him up. The quick backstory to this is that old tweets from ILOVEMAKONNEN surfaced earlier this year, and the tweets were about Drake. And some of the things ILOVEMAKONNEN had tweeted about Drake were not so nice things. And Drake is, of course, not gonna mess with you if you've been hating on him since day one, and that's where Drake threatening ILOVEMAKONNEN comes in. Apparently, Drake and ILOVEMAKONNEN were at the same VMA party, and like the big superstar Drake is, he's always gonna roll with a deep entourage. "We gon' fuck you up the next time we see you," is what Drake told ILOVEMAKONNEN at that party. And Drake saying this to ILOVEMAKONNEN could also be because that same year he dropped a freestyle where allegedly he was throwing shots at Drake.
You know I keep them jumping out the back. Hey, I don't wear no fucking Jumpman though.
Now, one of the biggest misconceptions people have about Drake is that he grew up with no struggle. Now, even you who are listening to this right now may think that's really 100% the case, since that's the view a lot of people have of Drake. I mean, he was on the Canadian show Degrassi by the age of 15, and a couple years after that, he blew up as a rapper. Everybody thinks I went to some private school and my family was rich. Maybe it's my fault, maybe I haven't talked enough about it. But I didn't grow up happy. I wasn't in a happy home. My mother was very sick, we were very poor, like broke. My mother happens to be a Jewish woman. She wanted the best for her family. She found us half a house we could live in. The other people had the top half, we had the bottom half. I lived in the basement, my mom lived on the first floor. It was not big, it was not luxurious, it was what we could afford. I went to school with kids that were flying private jets. This guy distributes Rolex in Canada, and this person owns Turtle Car Wax, and this person owns Roots clothing. And I went to school with kids who were very fortunate. I never fit in, I was never accepted. Now, the struggle means different for everybody, so we can't really discredit Drake's struggle because it's his own struggle and his own story. Now, a couple weeks ago, a good friend of Drake was unfortunately gunned down in Toronto. Now, the suspects of the killing have not been found yet, and since it was Drake's good friend, the police wanted to solve the murder by reaching out to Drake so he could cooperate with them and find his friend's killer. But the cops came out recently and said that Drake was refusing to cooperate with them, and the reason for why that is, that's unknown. And if you know anything about the street code, refusing to cooperate with the police only means one thing and one thing only: I'm gonna handle this on my own, and it's not by working with the law, it's to let someone else handle the killers. But I've even seen people say that Drake is a person that has the ability to put a hit on someone, which I'm not really doubting considering the money and the status Drake actually has, but I doubt Drake is orchestrating people actually being murdered. At least not on his call. And there's been some controversy surrounding the people Drake has around him. One of the people who is now signed to OVO goes by the name of Travis Savory, also known as Baka. If you're a fan of Drake, then you definitely know who this guy is. Drake has referenced him on a lot of his songs in the past, but Becca is a person who's been in jail before due to catching a human trafficking charge. But from seeing what I'm seeing, I honestly think that Drake is just putting up a front. The front could benefit him in the way that people do give him that street credit, which leads to the attitude of "you can't with me. And the public actually being intimidated by Drake is a good thing. After all, the guy has a net worth of $90 million. 90 million. God damn. So people being intimidated of you is just gonna prevent from people actually running up on you. Even though Drake doesn't really have to worry about that since he rolls with a big group of people who will probably kill you and risk their own freedom before you ever get to put your hands on Drake. But is Drake a gangster? No, Drake is not a gangster. Drake is someone who plays on the emotions of the people just like Young Thug does. A lot of people think that Young Thug is homosexual, but we all know that he does it for the publicity. But rather than the publicity only, Drake shows his gangster persona because he knows that people are gonna be intrigued about it, and some people are gonna be intimidated by it, which means it's a win-win situation for Drake either way. But what's your opinion on this topic? Do you think that Drake is a gangster, or do you think that he's not a gangster and that he's just faking it? Definitely let me know in the comment section below and let's have a discussion about this. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. This channel is all about bringing together people like you who enjoy music and start a discussion on different topics like this. And of course, like the video if you enjoyed it. Follow me on Twitter at BlackySpeakz, and I'm out.
That's just how I do it. That's that quick style right there. Show you how I do it. Check out my glasses.